Welcome back to the broadcast. A longtime resident of Asu Canal Grand Riviere is calling on the relevant authorities to take action as she fears the river to the back of her house will take everything in its path if there is any heavy rain. She says the majority of the topsoil has washed away. The resident says she has been complaining to the authorities for 3 years. However, nothing has been done.
Sina Chico says every time there is heavy rain, the river to the back of her house gets engorged and wreaks havoc in her front and backyard. The longtime resident of Asu Canal Grand Riviere says she has been trying to get in touch with the relevant authorities from the Ministry of Infrastructure as well as her parliamentary representative, who have all failed to provide her with any assistance. She says she is very fearful that she might lose her home if there isn't an intervention from the relevant authorities. Chico says she has gone as far as seeking assistance from the Forestry Department.
Since I'm here about 12 years now, my pegs have washed out about 3 times. I have made attempts to meet the necessary authorities, both infrastructure and of course my minister, Mr. Montoute. It was very much challenging for me to get hold of Mr. Montoute until I got a WhatsApp response from him on the 16th of March, telling me it is Minister of Infrastructure that's responsible and a whole story of the finance, and they're still looking into it. Right now it makes me feel like I'm a ball. I'm being kicked both between ministers and I just get frustrated. My final result was to call Forestry, of course asking for temporary advice because I know Forestry could only give a temporary advice whether to plant whatever trees can be planted and stuff. Even Forestry told me that because of the erosion, the surface that is exposed have no dirt on there for even to hold the root of plants.
This Groundhold resident says she is pleading with the authorities to place some baskets or any other initiative that will help cushion the effects of the river when there is heavy rains at the mouth of the river to protect her property as well as that of her neighbors.
I really need either a Gideon basket or retaining wall. To the back of my home, the river is now, I'll say, about 3 feet from my son's room. And of course, as you can see, my livelihood is right there in front of my house since COVID-19. In the event of anything or any bad weather, and praying God that doesn't happen, first, yes, I will be affected by the river, but it will also damage the road accessing to the community, of course, as well as my livelihood.
She says the hurricane season is especially difficult for residents in that area as they get very anxious when the river level starts to rise. Chico says while the river does not swell every time, there have been occasions where she nearly lost all her property.
My whole fence from the gate to the river was on the road. The river came up to the front, but thank God I have the drain along the river bank, and it gushed up to the front. I was told that the river had been diverted in the past. Again, purchasing here, it had to go through all the authorities, and they saw it was suitable for sale, and of course everything went through. So my thing is, the soonest possible I could get a solution to help cushion in whatever way the authorities can assist would be greatly appreciated.
She says there is not much left that she can do as she has tried to plant trees, but her efforts are not enough. Our news team contacted the Ministry of Infrastructure, where the communications officer promised that the matter will be looked into and a comment will be provided. However, up until news time, an official statement had not been given. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Businessman Michael Chasney, who is one of the owners of the Gablewoods shopping mall in Sunny Acres, Castries, was present at the site of the Tasty Barn restaurant that was damaged by a fire at the mall in Sunny Acres on Wednesday afternoon, resulting in significant damage to the roof of the building. The senior Chasney was seen inspecting the damages on Thursday morning. However, when asked for a comment, he quietly declined and drove off from the scene. On the day of the fire, which occurred at around 4:30 p.m., firefighters responded with 2 appliances from headquarters in Castries and sought assistance from the Groselay fire station. Spokeswoman for the SLFS, Stacey Joseph, said upon arrival, firefighters found the restaurant fully engulfed in flames. Fortunately, she said, responders were able to bring the blaze under control within about 15 minutes. Whilst there was significant fire damage to the roof of the business establishment, there were no damages damages to adjacent buildings as firefighters were able to contain the blaze and prevent it from spreading. There were also no reported injuries at the scene. In other news, from a medical professional to a farmer, that is the story of Saina Chico, who says after losing her job due to COVID-19, she was forced to find other sustainable means of surviving. She says what started as a backyard gardening project is what is carrying her through the turbulent COVID-19 times.
Many continue to lament that COVID-19 has disrupted their lives or brought about negative changes to their lives. One medical professional who lost her job during the peak of the pandemic says one slice of melon changed her life. Saina Chico says within the matter of 6 months, she developed a green thumb.
I had been in the medical team as a medical worker for the past 24 years. My last place of employment was the Cancer Center Eastern Caribbean at Tapion. Prior to that, I spent about 18 years at laboratory services at Tapion Hospital. When COVID-19 hit, I got a letter stating that my office would be permanently closed as my head office had been in Antigua. And it only took me that day while walking from the center, heading home. I went to Massey Stores, of course, talking to my creator, I always do, asking for comfort during that hard times, you know. And I bought one piece of watermelon and a piece of cantaloupe, which I love fruits. And all I did was to just throw the seeds along the hallway. And as soon as I walked in along the walkway, after 3 months, I got huge cantaloupes that people thought was pumpkins.
Chico says the decision to change professions has been one of the best. She says given the difficulty that the pandemic has brought on to many, she is willing to assist anyone who seeks guidance in her field.
If I'm doing that for a living, let me do it on a professional level. I registered my business. The challenge has been hard. I have been working together with Ministry of Agriculture for guidance. I have my extension officer who pays visit occasionally. I do not use any fertilizer. I use total organic. Whatever I use in the kitchen comes back in my garden. I use my horse compost, and I build quite a bit of customers by just growing a field of corns. I am always there to help somebody get better. Anything for betterment, I am willingly, openly available to do that.
She explained that though her garden is right in her driveway, she has had no issues with radial larceny.
No, not right now, and I'm praying God that it remains this way. I have quite a few walking persons, everybody walking and inquire how I was able to do this. Because of my limited amount, the idea came just for me to put assorted plates together. So I have a little bit of cherry tomatoes. I put it on a plate with 1 or 2 cucumbers. This is what I have. And especially in a time like now where we have families downsizing, the economy is hard, I try to put things in a position where if somebody is hungry, they can get a meal.
Chico says what has kept her going through the challenges of becoming a farmer and entrepreneur are her friends and loyal customers. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Ronson.
In Wednesday's hot seat, UWP Chairman Pinkley Francis distanced himself from comments made by Culture Minister Fortuna Belrose. Nisha Charles has more in this report.
Should an individual who makes up government be expected to answer to constituents who did not elect them into office? That's a question being posed by the public following comments made by the UWP candidate for Castries East, Fortuna Belrose. While Belrose was not elected as the parliament representative for the area, she is the Minister for Culture and Creative Industries. On a recent talk show, Belrose was asked whether she has attended to the needs of residents of Castries East. This is what Belrose had to say.
When you elect a government, you elect them on the basis of the policies and programs that they set out. The people of Castries East categorically chose to reject the United Workers' Party.
Just hold the line, caller. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying the people of Castries East chose categorically to reject the United Workers' Party at the last election. Yeah? 11 other constituencies said to the United Workers' Party, yes, we want to build a new St. Lucia with you, we are on the road with you, and we'll be working with you. And so the government sought to invest in those communities where they bought into the philosophy and thinking, you understand, of the government. It's very important that a community buys into the vision. When the Prime Minister came in, we just did a tour of the constituency. We made no promises. No promises at all were made, because I'm a community worker and I understand when you raise people's expectations, the challenge it can pose for you.
UWP Chairman Pinkley Francis shares a different philosophy.
Senator Belrose, is her own individual. She made the statement. This is not the position of the party. And like I said, as chairman, I obviously advocate to change that if there's any idea that this is the way we are going. I think we all are St. Lucian. I love all St. Lucians, and everybody should be eating from the same plate, you know. So I will push, I can trust me on this one, to make sure we look after every single part of St. Lucia when we return to office.
Belrose contends that the sitting MP should be the one to make a case for constituents.
You selected Mr. Philip J. Pierre to represent you in Castries East. His job does not end on election day. His job is for 5 years. And so even if I had interest as a community person in the community, the representative of the constituency is Mr. Philip J. Pierre. And you know, Ricky, that's
and he
why...
sits in Parliament.
And he sits in Parliament, he talks...
And he says you go wrong give laptop.
Let me tell you something. Mr. Pierre has a responsibility to write to the government on any matter that he wants. He can't just go and speak and spoke and spoke. No. If you're representing the people, there is an issue in your constituency, you need to sit down, put pen to paper to the right person and send it in to them. That's what representation is all about. And then you can show the people, look, I wrote to them. I wrote and I didn't get any support for the projects in the Boulevard.
For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, we have more after this break.